Good evening. Welcome in RNQ Isino classes. Block number 4, unit number 1, Introduction to Theism. Contents, objectives, introduction, types of theism, kinds of theism. Let us sum up keywords, further readings and reference. 1.0 objectives. Is there a God? God is one or many. Do celestial beings, gods, angels, spirits, and demons exist? Is there life after death? Is religion a need for modern human? If there is a God, then why will exist? Can man comprehend God? Can the human communicate with God? Does God answer prayers? There are many existential questions raised by humans in the realm of religion, spirituality, and metaphysics. Theism is a philosophical ideology which answers the question arose above in its affirmative. In simple words, theism is an ideology that propagates belief in the existence of God of gods. The term atheism is synonymous to having belief in God in the broadest sense. A theist is a person with the belief that at least one deity God exists. This God can be addressed as the absolute, the big ground of being, the ultimate, the world soul, the supreme good, the truth, the first, the cause, the supreme value, the thing in itself, the mastery, etc. Theism acknowledges that this God is a living being having personality, will, and emotions. Theists believe in a personal God who is the creator and sustainer of life. The answers for the questions who is God, what is God, are attempted by the theist. In discussing theism, there arises another important question. It is like, when was the human mind in the human mind? But will we study the phenomenon of religion, one understands that God conclude consciousness in humans came first through experiencing fear. Here, fear can be seen as the sense of the sacred. In the search of the sacred, emerges the theism in the form of an animism, then polytheism, the gradually into henotheism, and at least developed into monotheism. In monotheism, religions become institutionalized, cold, and formal. The sense of the sacred is lost, and institutionalism paves way for doctrines, creeds, and confessions. Fortunately, in this postmodern era, humans are searching back to their original uh, realization, in which the other, the absolute, manifest in multiple forms. 1.1 Introduction. The term theism derives from the Greek those meaning God. The term theism was first used by Ralph Cordworth 1617 to 88. The view usually entails the idea that God is beyond human compensation, perfect and self-sustained, but also peculiarly involved in the world and its events. And Adventists define God as neti, which means not this, not that, to prove the fact that God is another kind of being, which can be described by finite human speculations. A famous Western theologian, Paul Tillich, attempts a definitions of God in his book Systematic Theology. God is a being who transcends the realm of ordinary experience in power and meaning. He is the meaning of human nature of Superman. Superman powers raised to a superhuman raised to a superhuman realm. Traditionally, God can be defined as an omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent being who itself existence immutable self-conscious and personal. God is genderless because God does not come under the category of the compensable. God thus can be addressed as he it because God is definitely some another kind of being who does not come under phenomenological expressions of the human mind. The God of Theism is intelligent and powerful. The God is itself revealing, active in relation to human, and is worthy of worship. The God of the theist communicates his will to humans, creates, preserves, and destroys. He is the all in all, absolute sovereign in all things in relations to the universe. 1.3 Types of theism. Monism. Monism is a philosophical position that maintains that reality is one. It means reality is undivided or undifferentiated oneness or unity. Monism holds a very permanent positions in Advaitic Hinduism. Monism is a belief that only God is real and all the things are unreal. Advaita attributes individuals reasoning of existence to Maya or illusion. God is the only real, and all diverse sides the human mind experiences are unreal. According to Sankara, everything be perceived as individual as particular objects, people, thoughts, even gods are real only in the sense that they are one with the absolute. The Brahman, this is an ideology which says the universe is the manifestations of God within its own essential unity. God of the monist is the absolute and is abstract. This God can be described or defined by the limited human language. God is incomprehensible and not communicable, ascribing personality, emotions, intellect, and other atmospheric or geomorphic attributes to God. Is the manifestations of lower or carnal human mind and realistic. These attributes do not belong to the being of God. Monotheism. Monotheism is the belief that only one deity exists. Some modern day monotheistic religions include Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and some forms of Buddhism and Advaitic Hinduism. Some scholars, Sigmund Freud, argue that monotheism might have had its origin in Egypt. In this article, the origins of religion, Freud says the king Akhenaten introduced the worship of the sun god at Athens in 1375 BCE. Akhenaten made Athens religion as the sole religion and projected Athens as the monotheistic god. He also prohibited any other forms of religion and worshipping of other gods by royal decree. Freud suggests that Moses, the founder of Judaism, might have been influenced by the monotheism of Akhenaten when he carved the concept of one God for the Jews. Some people, for example, the conservative Christians and the Orthodox Muslims and Jews believe that the original self revelation of God was his singularity in the Hebrew Torah and the Bible. Be read the Shema. Hear, O Israel. Hear, O Israel. The Lord our God is one. God is one Lord. In Islam also we see this idea in the Holy Quran. The Quran teaches that God is one and has no patterns to share his divine glory. Muslims regularly recite the Shahada. There is no God but Allah. Christianity goes slightly away from the traditional monotheism of Judaism and Islam because of the concept of Trinity, in which the Christians see one God in personalities. When the traditional monotheistic faiths like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are um, scrutinized from a rational perspective, they fail to be monotheistic. They all tend to be either henotheistic or promote monolatheism. If a person says he believes in the existence of only one God, then one has to believe that this God is called in different names in different places and times. Let's for example think about water. Wherever we go in this planet, the chemical the chemical component of water is the same, H2O. The name humans address the water varies from place to place. In English we call water Tamil tanir, Hindi pani, Sanskrit jal, Malayalam belam, Manipuri is sing, and so on. Some say it same say if only one God exists, then God is named differently by different people. But this view is not at all accepted by the major monotheistic faiths of the world. Polytheism is the belief that there is more than only deity. It is a belief in plurality, and in the plurality that manifests in many forms. It is a system and symbolizing reality in a plural way in order to give meaningful account for the multifaceted religious theory experienced by human. In practice, polytheism is not just the belief that there are multiple goods. It usually includes belief in the existence of a specific pantheon of distinct deities. Polytheism is seen widespread in almost all cultures. Popular Hinduism, Egyptian religion, Greek religion, etc. are overtly polytheistic. People worship various gods and goodies. High ritualistic practices are common among the polytheists. The priestly class is at most benefited by polytheism. Polytheism makes the religious alive, vibrant. Many temples can be built, and various myths and epics can be circulated. Polytheism is gaining prominence is the in the postmodern era due to the factor that polytheistic belief promotes and assimilates all the indigenous and popular narratives. The idea of the many opens way for all forms of beliefs, worship, and religiosity. Henotheism, the viewpoint belief that there exists more than only deity, but outmost worship is of only one of them. Henotheist exclusively worship exclusively only one God, will agreeing the fact that other deities exist and they may be legitimately worshipped by other people groups. Henotheists also believers that God whom they worship is the supreme of the pantheon of existing deities. This view is akin to the Yahweh worship of Mosaic Judaism of the pre-Prohitic era. Cathenotheism, the viewpoint belief that there is more than one deity, but only one deity is worshipped at a time or ever, and another may be worthy of worship at another time or place. If there are worshipped once at a time, then each a supreme in turn. Cathenotheism is often common in polytheistic religions in which natural forces are worshipped. Deities such as the rain god is worshipped when there is need for rain. Sun god is worshipped in times of harvest. God of fertility is invoked in marriage, and god of education is communed when children go for exams, etc. Monolatrism, it is the belief that three may be more than one deity, but they only one is worthy of being worshipped. Sometimes people who claim or sometimes people who claim to be monotheist fall into the category of monolatrism when they try to be polemic against the people of other faiths. Monolatrism sometimes makes people to discredit the deities whom they do not revere. Religious fundamentalism is a form of monolatrism in which the devote of a particular deity tries to force his religion or deity as the absolute on the other fellow humans. Pantheism, the belief that the physical universe is equivalent to a god or gods, and that there is no division between a creator and the substance of a creation. In other words, God and the world is identical. Pantheism states that God is all in all. God, God pervades all things, contains all things, subsumes all things, and is found within all things. Nothing exists apart from God. And all things are in some or other way identified with God. The universe is God, and God is the universe. All is God, and God is all. This is another form or an idea similar to monism. Panthe- uh, pa- um, Panentheism is belief that the physical universe is joined to a god or gods. However, it is also believed that a god or gods are greater than the material universe. Panentheism means all is in God. It means that the universe is in God, but God also exists beyond the universe. Here God is seen to be with the creation. Panentheism denotes the belief that the reality of the world and the whole created order does not exist the reality of God without reminder, yet it is also hold in common with pantheism that God's presence and active agency permeates the world activity, sustaining it in every part. Pantheism stresses foremost the divine immanence, but does not deny divine transcendence altogether. Deism is the belief that at least one deity exists and created the world, but that the creators do not alter the original plan for the universe. Deism typically rejects supernatural events such as prophecies, miracles, and divine revelations. Prominent prominent in organized religion. Instead, Deism holds that religious beliefs must be founded on human reason and observed features of the natural world, and that these sources reveal the existence of a supreme being as creator. Autotheism. Autotheism is the viewpoint that whether divinity is also external or not, it is inherently within oneself, and that one has a duty to become perfect or divine. Autotheism can also refer to the belief that oneself is a deity. 1.4 Kinds of Theism. Classical Theism. Classical Theism refers to a form of theism in distinction to modern ideas about God, such as theistic personalism, open theism, and processes theism. Classical theism began with the works of the Greek philosophers, especially Platonist and Neoplatonists, and was developed into Christian theology by a scholastics primarily by Thomas Aquinas 1224 to 1275. Among the leading defenders of classical theism were Augustine 354 to 430, and also 1033 to 1109, and Thomas Aquinas were 1224 to 1274. In the modern world, perhaps the most popular exponents of classical theism were William Perry 1743 to 1805 and C.S. Lewis 1892 to 1963. One of the fundamental points of classical theism is how do we acquire knowledge of God. Knowledge of God can be gained by a priori methods. Therefore, the philosophical methodology of classical theism is a posteriori. Classical theism holds first of all that in order to establish the nature of God, we have to prove his existence. This is done by posterior methodology, which proceeds from the effect to the existence and nature of its course. In his Summa Theologic, Thomas Aquinas used to famous five ways, all of them metaphysically proves to prove God's existence. Other philosophical arguments adherents used to support classical theism include the theism argument from morality and the theological argument. Major arguments against classical theism include the problem of evil and the hiddenness of God. Classical theism is primarily and historical, based on the doctrines of several classical philosophers, but primarily on Aristotelian metaphysics. Existential theism. Kierkegaard, 1813 to 1855, is the proponent of the existential theism. Beings with some propositions of classic theism starts with the existence of God and his character as shown in religious scriptures. God is infinite, benevolent, and sovereign. Existential theism sees the universe as being created by God, operating according to the laws he set up, yet continually under God's directions. An open system. This form of existentialism focuses on subjective personal human experience. Here existence precedes essence. Existential fully understand existentialism finds ultimate meaning in relationships. Existential theism realizes that adherence to a creed and a set of moral standards is not enough. The enough true religion is acted out by showing love to others, and the untrue faith opens to direct intimate communications between the soul and God. One of the positive aspects of existential theism is that it emphasizes the role of scripture as God primary means of self-revelation, choosing instead to begin with human experience. Existential theism insists that each person must take the blind leap to faith to believe in God. This theist hold to the view that no one can ever really know transcendent truth, but choose to cope in such a world by believing that there is meaning if we can't understand it. To an existential theist, religion starts with ourselves, not with God. Therefore the absurdity of life is life realized clearly. Although see he does not immediately pre-receive that God exists. See he choose to believe to based upon the very real need meaning in a seemingly meaningless world. Thus, the question of whether or not God exists is not solved by reason, but rather by faith. Empirical theism. Empirical theism, the Reverend Thomas Reid (1710 to 1796) was the founder of the Scottish School of Common Sense. The laws of nature, according to Reid, are the laws by which God agency manifest in itself, and insofar as natural science and philosophy reveal the laws of nature, the reveal God's intentions. God could have willed that the laws were otherwise then they are, and he could suspend or later or of nature, resulting in a miracle. But so long as the laws of nature that God will are in place, the events over which they range are governed by necessity. To put this in contemporary terms, the events that come about in accordance with the laws of the nature and nomologically necessary rather than metaphysically necessary to the questions. Then why do not basic background of the universe, and as such the situation is like that of fish in water. The fish cannot find the water because it is the medium he is constantly in looking through the water all the time. For his entire existence, the fish sees only the other things that show up through the water. This indicates that through humans could be looking at good all the time, so to speak, and not aware of seeing God. Have the concept in our minds that pretend to him. Idealistic theism. George Berkeley (1685 to 1753), who also known as Bishop Berkeley, Bishop of Cyclone, is the proponent of idealistic theism. Berkeley believed God to be present as an immediate cause of all our experience. He did not evade the questions of the external source of the diversity of the sense, the data at the disposal of the human individual. He stopped simply to show that the cause of sensations could not be things, because what we call things and consider it without grounds to be something different from our sensations were built up wholly from sensations. There must consequently be some other external source of the inexhaustible diversity of sensations. The the source of our sensations, Berkeley concluded, could only be God. Berkeley theistic mystic idealism claimed that nothing separated man and God except materialist misconceptions of misconception. Of course, since nature of matter did not exist as a reality independent of consequences, the revelation of God was directly accessible to man according to his doctrine. It was the sense pre-received world, the world of man's sensations, which come to him from on high for him to decipher and so grasp the divine purpose. Theistic idealism is an ontology that holds that reality itself is essentially spirit of consciousness. God is consciousness, that view holds that consciousness, no matter, is the ground of all being. Pragmatic theism. Charles Sanders Peirce, 1839 to 1914, in the proponent of pragmatic theism. Pragmatism refers to experimental, empirical, and purposive thought based on and applying to experience. Pragmatism begins with the idea, but that belief is that on which one is prepared to act. Peirce believed in God and characterized such belief as founded in an instinct explorable in merging over the walls of ideas. Over the world of ideas, brute facts, and evolving habits, and it is a belief in God not as an actual existent being in Peirce's sense of those words, but all the same as a real being. In this in this hypothesis, God is a necessary being. He also says that God is an infinitely incomparable being. He sees God as independent from actual human opinions, but a discoverable by inquiry is a kind of inference process, a manner of thinking, and Semisos Peirce held that all thought is in science, issuing in and from interpretations, where sign is the word for the broadest variety of conceivable semblance, diagrams, metaphors, symptoms, signals, Divination symbols, text, even mental concepts and ideas, all as determinations of a mind, of a quiet mind, that which at least functions like a mind. Pace feels that belief in God is not a momentary mode of consciousness, it is a habit of mind, essentially enduring for some time and mostly, at least, unconscious. Unlike other habits, it is perfectly self-satisfied. The need for belief arises in doubt. For him, doubt is a state in which habitual actions are blocked or confused, and from which organic irritations and solution result. Resolutions and no- Inobstructed conduct, on the other hand, are products of belief, which is the of stability and satisfaction. It is the function of scientific thought to produce true beliefs. Thus, in pragmatic theism, confused science about God are translated into clearer science by the power of inquiry. 1.5. Let us sum up. The unit gives a descriptive picture about theism with the treatment of definition of theism as belief in God. The unit elaborates on different types of kinds and theism as an introduction to theism. The unit does justice to giving merely details on theism. 1.6 Keywords. Pragmatic theism. Pragmatic refers to experimental, empirical, and purposive thought based on and applying to experience. Realistic theism directly believed God to be present as an immediate cause of all our experiences. He did not avoid the questions of the external source of the diversity of the sense that at the disposal of the human individual. 1.7 Further readings and references. Completion Frederick Asia History of Philosophy New York Image Book 1960 Darrelly Christiansen International Journal for Philosophy of Religion Wall 1970 Durant Bill The Story of Philosophy New York Pocket Books 1976 Edward Paul ed. Encyclopedia of Philosophy Vol. 4 1967 New York Macmillan Publishing Co-Inc. in 1972, Glenn J. Paul, The History of Philosophy, London, Header Books, 1963, Hamlin R. W. History of Western Philosophy, England, Penguin Books, 1988, Modieth Augustine Theism in ACPI, Encyclopedia of Philosophy, Vol. 1, edited by Johnson, Puthen, Porcokel, and George Pathan, McGill, Bangalore Asian Trading Corporation, 2010, Scott Dion and Others, History of Philosophy, New York, Harper Collins, 1993, Thierry Frank, History of Philosophy, Allahabad Central Book Depot, 1981, Bhattacharya, Doctor History of Western Philosophy, Meerut Kedarnath Ramnath, 1970.